The purpose of this course today is to give you some tools that you can use to help you get the services that you need for your child. So when we talk about disability, we're specifically talking about any condition of the mind or of the body that keeps your child or makes it difficult for a person with a condition to do the same activities or interact with the world around them as any other person would. When we talk about connection, we're specifically talking about relationships. It is so much easier to get what you need accomplished when we work together. Yes, you can go and you can crusade all on your own, but when you have a team of people working with you and when you develop a connection and a relationship with people, it makes your job so much better. Communication is so important, not just for advocacy, it's just important in general. It impacts so many other areas of our life. And so we teach you how to communicate without the filters, how to say what you really mean, and how to hear what is really being said. All right, so we're ready to move on to tool number 3. So far, we've covered the first 2 C's. We covered connection, meaning building strong relationships, and then we covered communication, how we talk and how we hear when we're having a conversation with another person. Now we're talking about collaboration. Collaboration touches on both connection and communication. Remember, these 4 C's work together, and you build the foundation of each one as you go along. You can't work with, and by collaboration, we mean work with. Put your hands to the plow and work with the teachers, or vice versa, teachers working with you. You can't do that when you don't have a relationship, or I should say, you can't do that as effectively when you don't have a relationship or when you don't have proper communication. Things get lost in communication when you don't speak well. So in order to properly collaborate, you have to be able to have that relationship or that connection and that communication. But when we talk about collaboration, we're talking about more than just working together. We're talking about what happens in the home as well as what happens in the school. I don't know about you, but I have a child who likes to take advantage of every situation. You know, that's going to come in handy at some point in life, but it drives me nuts right now. In any case, what I see her do sometimes is she'll come to me and say, Mom, can I do whatever? And I'll give her answer. If she doesn't like that answer, guess what she's doing? She's going over to her dad and ask the same question. Maybe she can get a different answer. That's why it's so important for you to have communication. Guess what? Children do the same thing when it comes to school. So what's happening at school, the child may want to do certain things. You have this child who's like this at school, but then when you get home, you have a different child and you're thinking your child is one way, whereas the school is saying your child is another way. If you're not working with the school, children will be able to manipulate that situation. They don't mean any harm. That's just what they do. They're children. Right. And so it's important for you to have that open line of communication and to work together. I'll give you an example. As a teacher, sometimes the things that I had as rewards in my classroom were not at all interesting to the students who were in the classroom. Like I needed some incentives that were going to get them to do what I need them to do. And in order to do that, I had to partner with their parents. And so I would say, hey, mom, hey, dad, you have this thing that you do with your child all the time, and they really enjoy that. Can I get you to work with me? I need your child to do X in the classroom, and I will take daily notes or write whatever to make sure that they're doing one. And can you reward them with that thing? Can you hold off on rewarding them until they've met that requirement for the classroom? Can we work together in that way? So many times when I went to parents like that, they were more than happy to work with me because they want the best for their child too. And so that's what I mean by collaboration. Sometimes as a parent and as a teacher, you have to come to the table and you have to figure out what it is that needs to be done, and you have to work together to make it happen. So you can do that though when you have open lines of communication and you have a relationship with each other. That's what we mean when we're talking about collaboration. And we have strategies to help you become a better collaborator. It's what we call collaborative advocacy as we go through the rest of the training. So put that in your toolbox. The collaboration, that's something that you're going to need to know how to do, and you need to have that in your toolbox. Okay, so we're back and we're talking about the last advocacy tool that we're going to go over today that you need to have in your box. I'm telling you, when you get the foundation of these four tools, you can build mountains, and it's called compromise. Speaking of mountains, um, compromise comes in really handy, especially when you have something that's a little issue right over here. It's a molehill. But how many of you know that if you don't take care of the molehill, it becomes a mountain, right? Compromise helps you keep those molehills from becoming mountains because you start figuring out where you can meet in the middle. Excuse me. Okay. All right. So, what do we mean? Let's talk about those four that we've already covered. We have covered your connection, your relationship. We have covered your communication. We've covered your collaboration. Now it's time for us to go into compromise. So, as you're working together, sometimes you get to a point where you've hit a brick wall. I've seen it so many times when I go into meetings and parents come in with their mind set on how this meeting is going to end, and then teachers come in with their mindset on how this meeting is going to end. We try to get you to go to a point where you come in with expectations and hopes, but you are flexible in how things turn out. Flexible for a couple of reasons. Number one, an IEP or special education plan, an IEP, remember, stands for individual education plan. They are not written in stone. There are times when you have to try something before you'll know for sure whether it's going to work or not. And don't think that whatever you agree to or you compromise on, that you can't come back to the table at a later time to change that. Sometimes you have to just see, and that works on both sides for parents and for teachers. Sometimes the parents just know their kid and they're like, hey, I'm telling you, that is not going to work. We need to do it differently. We need to do it like this. And teachers, don't be afraid to go ahead and try it out. And if it doesn't work, you come back to the table and you reassess, right? The key thing to remember, this is number two. So that was number one, that nothing's written in stone. And number two is sometimes you have to just be aware that everything that you decide for your child, there should be data related to it. So there are some decisions that everybody's clear on, and yes, we move forward with that. But where you have a sticky situation where you're not quite sure which way to go, don't rely on what you feel or what you think. Look at the data, right? Look at how the child is performing. Look at what the behaviors look like. Look at what the grades look like. Look at what interventions have been tried and how successful or unsuccessful they were. And then make a decision. Make your decision on the data. That's one great way to come to a compromise. Don't lean on what you think, lean on what the data shows. And also, I would say, make sure that you are talking to your child. Children are very good at telling you what they need. If they're old enough, involve them in this process and give them an opportunity to speak for themselves. Okay? All right. So that's another tool that I want you to get into your toolbox: compromise. Don't be dead set on what needs to happen when you come to a meeting. Keep an open mind, and we tell you more strategies about how to go through compromising when we go through our deeper level training. All right? All right, folks, there you have it. We started with connection. We went to communication. From there, we built in collaboration, and then we topped it off with compromise. Those four advocacy tools are a great start to building really strong relationships, positive relationships within the school, and getting your child what it is that they need to meet their needs in the special education program. All we want is to see students and parents be successful. What we really want to see is parents connecting with schools in a way that they haven't before, and those outcomes are student success. That's what we want to see. And these four tools, these strategies will help you. Now, if you need a deeper dive into these strategies, let me tell you about something that you can do that a little later, get that a little later. But first, let's go through our post assessment and see how much, like before we started. Okay, so now we're coming to the Excel activity. So Excel is actually our formula for getting parents ready to advocate for themselves and for their child. In the Excel stands for experience. The C is for collaboration. The E is for empowered, and the L is for level up. These are the 4 stages that we take you through as a parent advocate. And we spend about 2 weeks talking about each one of these in depth so that you're prepared by the time we're finished to be the advocate that you need to be for your child. And I love this activity. It's almost red light, yellow light, green light. Just like your child, they do all kinds of tests and assessments to let you know what your child's strengths are and then the areas where your child needs to work on. This is an activity that we designed so that you know your strengths and that you know the areas where you need to work on. And then we talk to you about those different areas. It helps us know how we need to support you as you move through the journey of becoming an advocate for your child. Okay. And so what we do is we talk about each one of these things in depth. And if you feel like this is an area where you're really strong, you want to go ahead and give yourself a G or color it green because that's an area where you feel like you're good to go. Or if you feel like, yeah, I know a little bit about collaboration, but there's some more that I need to know, then you want to give yourself a Y or color it yellow because that you've identified as a place where you know, but you need to grow. And then if you find that you have no idea what it means to be, let's say, for example, leveled up or empowered, like you're just not real strong in that area and you're new to it or you just don't have a lot of experience in it and you need a lot of support in that area. Give yourself an R or color it red because that will help you identify that that's an area where you really want to focus as we're going through the support and the advocacy training for you. Okay. So that's how we're going to assess. And notice that your child is in the middle because remember, we keep in mind, and we know that you will too, that everything that we're doing is for the benefit of your child. At the end of this, the goal is that you are empowered and able to speak up and do what you need to do for your child so that they can have a great year and get the services that they need. Okay. All right. So let's go through this activity. Okay, so when we talk about experience, we're going to start here. The experience that we're talking about is your knowledge, your how well informed you are of special education law, special education policies, procedures. We want you to rate how well you know your rights and the process for going through eligibility. What should be in a good individual education plan or IEP or Section 504 plan or any of the other plans that you may have for your child. If you feel like you need to know more about what's the timeline for an evaluation, or what you need to do if your child with a disability gets into trouble, or what if you tried everything and it's not working. Your experience that all falls under that umbrella. So we have parts in the program that talk to you about each one of those areas. If you feel like as experience wise, you need a lot of help in that area, it's something that you're not very knowledgeable about, it's something that you're very new to, you have a lot to learn, you want to give yourself a red or an R for that area. If it's something like you know a little bit, but you just need to tighten up or strengthen up, learn a little bit more about another area, then you want to give yourself a yellow because you know some things, but there are some things you know you don't know. If you feel like, you know what, been there, done that, got all that under my belt, feeling super good about it all, I'm good on experience. Go ahead and give yourself a G because, hey, you're good to go in that area. Okay. All right. All right. So now that you have rated yourself on experience, let's go through to collaboration. Now, here you should have a little bit of a leg up because we just went through special education and collaborative advocacy. I gave you 4 strategies that you can start to build with today. So you may know a little bit in this area. You may have a yellow. If you still feel like even the strategies that we've given you are good, you need to go deeper though. You need more. You need to know like specifically how to collaborate, how to build a connection, especially since the connections you have are just not working. Or you may need to know more about how to communicate. We can help you with that. Okay. So, collaboration is all those things. It's how to work together. It's how to communicate. It's how to be an advocate properly, right? Because there's all types of advocates, as you well know, and some advocates are better than others. Everybody's not created the same, but in order to be a really good advocate, these are the things that you're going to need to know. So if you feel like you're pretty good in that area, then you'll give yourself a green. If not, you'll give yourself a Y or a yellow. If you feel like you need some help in this area, go ahead and give yourself an R because that's what we're here for, okay? And again, no one's seeing what your answers are, so you might as well just take this assessment and be honest with yourself. It's just so that you will know, okay? All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is being empowered. So when we're talking about being empowered, we're talking about having your voice. So we move from not only knowing what you need to know and not only having the strategies, but implementing the strategies, having the confidence to say what needs to be said, to do what needs to be done, to know that you know what you need to know, you know your stuff, okay? It's one thing to have all that, but it's another thing to actually put it into practice. I have been in meetings where I've seen, you can sometimes look at a person and tell that they have something they want to say. They feel a certain way about something that was said or something that's being done. But so many times it's like pulling teeth to get them to say what needs to be said. And the reason is not because they don't want better for their child. They just don't know how, or they question whether they should say anything or whether what they have to say makes any sense. You know, it's just their parents. They don't know this like the teachers know this. And so that's what we're talking about when it comes to being empowered. So if you're a person who's been to meetings or goes to meetings and you dread it, you you hate having to go to these meetings, you do that because you know you have to and it's what your child needs, and so you show up, but you know that you're not as effective in those meetings as you could be. You're probably and you need help with all those other areas like using your voice, not only finding it but using it. Then you want to give yourself a red here. If you're a person who goes to the meetings and you will ask questions, but if you don't understand, you walk away without understanding and just hope for the best, you want to give yourself a yellow because it takes even a lot of courage to do that. But if you're a person who's very confident in what you know, you feel like you understand, and if you have to say something, you'll say it. If you have to do something, you'll do it. You feel empowered, then you want to give yourself a G because I'm feeling like if you can do all those things, you're pretty good in that area. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is what we call the level up phase. So the level up phase is when you have all the information and the knowledge, when you have all the strategies and the skills, and you are empowered, you have the confidence, but it didn't work, because that's a real possibility. Even the best advocates don't always get exactly what they want. Sometimes your rights have been violated and you're not sure where to go. You're not sure what to do. There are real times when you need an attorney. And if you're not clear on when it's something that you can advocate for or is something that you need an attorney for, or when your rights have been violated and when that's just a part of the process. One good example is when I was talking about the evaluation process. Like I said before, a lot of parents are anxious and they're ready to find out, so they don't give the school enough time. They think, I've given consent. They should be evaluating my child right now. I should have an answer. It's been a month. But if it's a brand new evaluation and you're rushing it because they have more than 30 days, right? And so it's important that you know when you need to take it a step further and when you need to advocate on your own and when you need to escalate it, because there's local resolutions. Sometimes you can resolve it within the school or within the district, but sometimes you need to go outside of the district, outside of the school, and you need the kind of help that an advocate can't provide, because an advocate is different from an attorney. We talked about that earlier. And so in our level up, we give you forms, templates, documents. We make sure that you know when you need to level up. And we also talk to you about what to look for. If there are a lot of, like I said, advocates are not all created equally. Attorneys are not either. When you're knowledgeable and you know how to collaborate and you're empowered, you can pick the right person for your situation. You can have a conversation with your advocate and you can know either they know what they're talking about or they're off. And that's an important skill to have too. Okay. So rate yourself on your level up. Do you know what forms, or do you know when you need to call an attorney, or do you know what a good advocate looks like if you should ever need one? Do you know how to do a local resolution versus a resolution that's outside of the district? If you know about that, then go ahead and give yourself a G. If not, give yourself a Y. If you a red. If you feel like you know a little but not a lot, but you need to know more, then give yourself a Y. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go through and talk to you about your results. I just want you to look at your diagram. If you're seeing more reds than yellows, then you have quite a few areas that you're looking for. If you're seeing some greens, some reds, some yellows, it just helps you identify where you need to strengthen up at and where you're pretty strong and where you need to brush up. But if you have a lot of golds, a lot of G's, a lot of greens, then you're pretty solid in what you know, and that's a really good thing. So for those of you who are mostly reds and mostly yellows, let me go on and talk to you about the resources that we have that can help you with where you're trying to go. Okay. Not that can help you. I should take the kinda out because it wouldn't be worth it if you're just getting help. We help you get where you need to go. Okay, so you've made it through the training, you've done your assessment, you've said, yep, I'm mostly reds, I'm mostly yellows, I definitely need to go to the next step. The next step for you, my friend, would be our signature program called our Special Education MVP program. This is where we take you as a parent through our training where we prepare you to advocate for your child. We teach you how to build a collaborative team around your child so that you can get the supports and services that you need. Now, most parents say, that's just too much work. I'd rather just pay an advocate or an attorney. Remember, every time that you need support and services like that, you're going to have to keep paying an advocate or an attorney. What we do is we teach you how to do what the advocates do so that you don't have to keep paying for that service. We give you videos. We walk you through those videos in our transcripts, and we record sessions. We have weekly live coaching sessions with me or our special guests who are professionals in the field. We give you all of our tips and our tricks, and we give you our templates. We give you our cheat sheets. We give you resources and materials that you can have right at the palm of your hand whenever you need them. You can troubleshoot with us. You can get in the hot seat and have your questions answered. Our goal by the time you're done training with us is to make sure you are totally prepared. And you don't even have to go through it just one time. You can go through it once, and if you feel like you need more, you can go through it again. And remember, your child is in school for years, so you can come back as often as you need to get the support and services that you need. And let's say that you go through the training and you feel like you've gotten what you need, but every now and then something pops up that you're not sure about. That's what the members only access is for. That community has teachers, has professionals, has other advocates and attorneys who are part of our community, who access the community so that you can go in there and ask your questions and get support that way. And if you feel like you need even more, you have the options to do a one-on-one, or you have the options to purchase other materials. But this is where the MVP prepares you as the parent to really learn how to advocate once and for all for your child on your own. All right. Now you're just wondering, what's the next step? How do I join? Where do I get enrolled? We've made it super simple. All you have to do is go to your internet browser, type in tinyurl.com/bright idea MVP. That's it. Once you type that into your browser, you'll be connected to a payment page where you'll be able to purchase your access to MVP. You can choose the payment in full option, or if you prefer to do a payment plan, you can choose the Affirm option. Affirm is one of our payment partners where you can set up a payment plan that's comfortable for you, however you decide to set that up. So you can go through Affirm for your plan, or you can pay in full. Go ahead and check out. And once you get your thank you page, you'll get your enrollment information sent right over to you, and you'll be good to go. If you run into any issues as you're going through the process, don't hesitate to email us. Our email address is support@brightideaco.com. Send us your concerns and we'll be quick to turn around a response and help you troubleshoot through the issue. I want to be the first to tell you that this is a big step, and I want to congratulate you on taking that big step. It's not easy, but I tell you, once you get into the program and you start working with us, it's going to get so much easier. So I personally am looking forward to seeing you on the other side. All right, so that brings us to the end. I don't want to keep you any longer than I have to. I really hope that you found this training to be very useful, that you can go ahead and use those four strategies right away. I told you that I would give you the strategies and give you some definitions. I also told you we would do a pre and post test so that you can know where you started and then where you really need, where you're strong and where you really need to strengthen up at. And we've done all those things. And so I want to thank you for joining us. I hope that if you have any questions, you'll feel comfortable enough to reach out to us. You can reach out to us through our social media links at Bright Idea Ed, or if you wanted to send an email to us, just email support support at brightideaco.com. Support@brightideaco.com. And we'll be sure to respond to you. We're looking forward to working with you, looking forward to talking with you, and it's been a pleasure doing this training with you. Bye.